Hey guys, my name is Izzy.
I'm Angela Hart with PK Move.
Today I'm going to be doing the warm-up and the cool-down with you.
And today we're going to talk about bipedal balance and one-legged balance.
We're going to go ahead and get started. Find your spot and we'll start out with our upper body with our arms. We're going to do some arm circles. So we're going to bring our arms forward, bring them around the full circle. Hands getting close to our hips and coming up towards our head. Going forward at first. Then we're going to go backwards. So we switch to backwards. And do each one about 8 times. That's good for the arm circles. Next up, we're going to go and do some washing machines. So for these, we're going to put our arms out to the side. We're going to move side to side, moving our hips to each side, kind of just following our hips almost with our arms. Just doing this for a little while. Alright. And next up, we're going to do some hip circles. So we're going to put our hands on our hips. And we're going to rotate around. So we're bringing our chest forward, then bringing our back, chest forward again. Same thing, just rotating. Rotating in a circle. Again, doing this one about 8 times. 8's a good number. Then we go back. And that's good. So we're going to go ahead and stay in this straddle position. When we're doing our hip rotations, we don't want to be standing with our feet together or really close to each other. It's going to make it a lot harder and weirder to balance. So for this one, we're going to stay in that same position we had with our hip rotations. And we're going to reach down towards our toes. Left hand to right foot, right hand to left foot. And we just cut through, go faster. You can touch your ankle or you can touch your toes. Doesn't matter too much. Alright. Now next up, we're going to do some knee circles. So we're going to put our hands on our knees, go around in a circle. And we're just moving our knees kind of side to side in a full circle. Warming up our knees while we do this, but also warming up our ankles. It's a really good one for our ankles, surprisingly. We're going to go the other direction. Alright. So for the next one, we're going to do some calf raises. For our calf raises, we're going to go ahead and lift ourselves up on our toes. Fell forward a little bit there, but we're going to lift ourselves up, come back down to our heels, back up to our toes. Trying to keep our balance while we do it. It can get kind of tricky, but it's a really good exercise for your calves. Just like that. That's good. And from there, we're going to go ahead and sit down. And we're going to roll out our ankles. So, I'll grab one of my feet, take it around in a circle, stretching out my ankle. So, we're going to do this about 8 times. And then go in the other direction. And then we're going to take our other foot, do the same thing. Alright. Then we're going to stand back up. Now that our ankles are warmed up, we're going to work on some jumps. So, starting out, we're going to do some static jumps or just straight bunny hops. That's what I usually call them, but we're going to try and stay on the balls of our feet. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I'm lifting up my heels. My heels don't touch the ground as I'm jumping. So I'm just staying on the very front parts of my feet. Same spot that we land our precision jumps in. So you're just going to go ahead and start jumping up and down. And then side to side. And then forward and backwards. And again, just keeping our heels up, staying on the balls of our feet as we're doing it. And that's good. So that's everything for the warm-up. At the end of the class, we'll work on our cool-down.
First thing we want to do is just a little bit of one-legged balance on a flat surface. If you need to have a wall or a chair nearby, please have one. And just come onto one leg. Hands can be on your hips. You can have them out for counterbalance, and just lift the opposite leg a little bit. See how long you can stand on one leg. If you start to lose your balance, you can bring that foot down and drop your center of gravity. Think about shifting your weight, coming back to that original leg. Maybe move the elevated leg a little bit at the ankle, at the knee, at the hip, and then try the other side. Moving all the major joints, the hip, the knee, and the ankle. As we continue to play with our one-legged balance, you might want to have a folded towel, or if you have access to a yoga mat. Same concept, come on one foot. Now that there's a lot more ankle mobility, see if you can find that balance. You can always step down onto the hard surface, or bring the other foot up and just play around a little bit. Or if you have a folded yoga mat, you can have one foot on either. Surfaces are very, very different. See if you can just move around a little bit. Again, if you feel like you're going to lose your balance, drop your center of gravity. If you have access to a step or to a curb, you can really enjoy some one-footed balance just with some simple step-ups. You step up, you have one foot balance before stepping down. Try the other foot. And again, if you start to lose your balance, you can always drop that center of gravity. To play around with that balance on some other surfaces that are very similar to a parkour environment, if you have access to a piece of wood, like a 2x4 or something wider, you can come up onto that and just play around a little bit with it. See if you can come onto your balance. Now I'm using really more of the ball of my foot to find my sense of balance. I can turn sideways. I can face forwards. Less surface area of the foot will be on that object when you're facing forward. It's definitely more challenging. Easier when you're facing the side. You can have the heel and the ball of the foot. If you want to practice your bailout or your catch fall, they make it a little more challenging by using a 2x4. So as I play around here, if I start to lose my balance, I drop my body weight and lean forward. I highly recommend that you have a wall handy because the ground is pretty far away. Again, weight drops quickly. You want to move that center of gravity down and then come forward. Notice I'm not perching on my fingers. I'm landing with flat hands. Again, play around with that one-legged balance. Challenge yourself a little bit and know that you can drop that center of gravity and catch yourself when you need to. If you want to work on a little coordination and strength as well, you could add a deadlift in. So with a single-legged deadlift, I'm using a brick. You could use a book, you could use a kettlebell, you could use a can, something that you're going to be reaching for and lifting. So you want to come onto one leg and you want to hinge at your hips. As my torso lowers, my opposite leg extends. I lift, I find that balance, and then I return it. And then I do kind of a reset, just feel my body stable. If you want to make it a little more challenging, you could do that deadlift off your 2x4 or your folded towel or yoga mat. Just make sure it's not too high. Make sure your object is tall enough that you can reach it. I'm going to see if I can switch my feet, play with my balance, a little traverse, other side. And that's your deadlift.
Alright guys, so now we're going to go ahead and do our cool down portion of the class. So this is just going to be the part where we stretch out, try and stretch out the muscles that we used today and become flexible, hopefully. Our first stretch is going to be our butterfly position. So we're going to bring our feet together, keeping our legs apart. We're going to try and bring our legs as far down as we can, grabbing onto our toes. And we're going to try and bring our face down towards our toes. And we're going to hold this for about 30 seconds. Each one of these stretches that we're going to hold, we're going to do for about 30 seconds. So that's good. Alright. So our next stretch is going to be our pike position. So we're going to bring our legs out in front of us. Straight legs, straight knees. We're going to go ahead and point our toes. And we're going to reach forward. Trying to touch your ankles or your toes if you're really flexible. I'm not super flexible, so I can about reach my ankles. That's definitely a stretch right there for me. So I'm going to hang on right there. And we're going to hold it for about another 15-20 seconds. Alright. So for the next one, we're going to do our straddle stretch. So we're going to get into our straddle position. Our legs are going to be separated out. Like this. Like so. Come a little bit closer to this side so hopefully you guys can see me. Legs separated out. Stretch forward on one side. Again, holding for about 30 seconds. Alright, now we're going to reach towards the middle. Just trying to bring our chest as far down towards the ground as we can. Alright, we're going to go to our left side. Next up, we're going to go ahead and go into our cat pose, and we're going to reach forward. Straight arms, looking face down at the ground, and we'll hold it for about another 15 seconds. Alright, and from here, we're going to go ahead and pop up, and we're going to do what I call a seal stretch. There's other names for it, cobra, stuff like that, but basically, we're just propping up our chest, putting a little bit of pressure on our wrists, and looking forward. So we're just going to hold it for about 30 seconds, like 20 more seconds. Trying to stretch out our back. Alright. We're just going to go back, rock out a little bit, and put a little bit of pressure on our wrist again, rocking back and forth, stretching out our wrists. And that's good. And we want to shake out our wrist a little bit, do some wrist circles. Another way. Alright. And really quick, we'll do some ankle circles. And that'll be it. And the other way. Same thing we did at the beginning of the class. And our other foot. Other direction. And that's everything. So that's going to be it for class today, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. Look forward to next week. We'll be back.